BZ Watchdog News Network.
Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, and share this everywhere. Now, at the latest Hillsboro City Council meeting, I stood up and called out Council Member Leann Richmond over the growing evidence surrounding her actual residency, and apparently asking whether an elected official actually lives where the law requires her to live is now considered offensive. Imagine that. Lloyd stepped down when he no longer met the residency requirement. He did the honorable thing. He left the seat instead of trying to turn the city charter into a magic trick. But Leann Richmond, different story. She appears to be holding on for dear life, while the city acts like everybody is supposed to close their eyes, plug their ears, and pretend nothing is happening. I raised the exact comparison during public comments when I addressed the council, and now the evidence has gotten even louder. The city manager's own comments confirm that the city can see detailed water usage even down to the hour, while also claiming it is not appropriate for staff to surveil members of council. Translation: we have the data, but please do not expect us to actually use it against one of our own. How convenient. The old Corsicana Street address, the address Leann Richmond is claiming as her residence, shows extremely low water usage. Meanwhile, I obtained Brandon-Irene Water Supply account information connected to the Highway 22 property, the new property tied to Andrew Richmond, her husband, showing an active account and amount due of $120.41 and a June billing cycle. And according to the water usage screenshot, June 2026 at the old Corsicana address shows only 377 gallons as of the June 14th cycle. 377 gallons. Halfway through June in Texas during summer. But sure, everyone totally normal, nothing to see here.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Apparently, Hillsboro has discovered, but sure, everyone totally normal, nothing to see here. Apparently, Hillsboro has discovered the first full-time residence in history where nobody showers, washes clothes, flushes toilets, cooks, cleans, waters anything, or lives like an actual human being. And before the bootlickers start crying, let me be very clear. I'm not saying one water bill by itself proves everything. I said that in my speech, and I'll say it again here. One bill alone is not the whole case. But when you combine the old address water usage, the Highway 22 account, eyewitness statements, videos, photos, after-hour sightings, weekend sightings, and vehicles being hidden behind structures at the new property, that's no longer a coincidence. That's a pattern. And the pattern does not look like residency at the Corsicana address. It looks like someone trying to keep one foot on paper inside Hillsboro while actually living somewhere else. Sit down. No. Just got the proof I need.
About what?
You coming out here and confronting me.
And what proof is this? I'm just asking if you need something.
Nah, I don't need nothing. I got the proof I needed. I'm good.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting you or her to come out, so.
So are you like stalking us? What are you doing?
This ain't stalking, sir.
Yes, I believe it is.
Pulling over and taking video?
Yeah.
Showing that you guys are, at least her, you're not breaking the law, but
What is she breaking law for?
she has to resign from her position.
For what?
She doesn't live in the city limits.
What address does she reside at?
The one that she's actually remaining
What
at.
address is her address?
Doesn't matter what's on it. It's matter where you actually reside.
I live here.
Read the statute. No.
And my address
You
is
and
there.
her. You
I
and
do
her.
not live here.
Everything's out of your house over there.
How do you
Except
know
your-
that?
Oh, because people drive by and send me photos and pictures.
Go into my house.
No,
There's
I've never
stuff
even.
in my house.
I've never even by your house. Now let's talk about these so-called witness statements. If people knowingly gave false information to protect the public official, especially if any of those statements were sworn, that is not just small town gossip. That becomes a serious legal issue. If anyone lied to help cover up whether a sitting council member is legally qualified to hold office, then the public deserves to know who said what, when they said, and whether those statements were made under oath. I will be requesting those statements because this is not about owning two homes. This is not about jealousy. This is not about politics. This is about domicile. It is about where your real home is, where you actually live, where you sleep, where your life is centered, where you return at the end of the day, and when you are sitting on a city council voting on taxes, spending, water rates, developments, public policy, and city business. Residency matters because representation matters. I said exactly that to council. If you no longer live in the place you were elected to represent, you no longer have the right to sit in that seat and vote for the citizens who do. So here is the real question. Why is Leann Richmond holding on so hard? Why is City Manager Megan Henderson running cover instead of demanding a serious outside review? Why are people circling the wagons? And what vote is coming up that they need Leann Richmond sitting in that chair for? Because when Larry Lloyd no longer qualified, he stepped down. But when Leann Richmond is questioned, suddenly we get excuses, neighbor statements, damage control, and a whole performance from the same corrupt little club I've been investigating in Hillsboro and Hill County. That tells me this is bigger than one council seat. This is about power. This is about control. This is about keeping the right people in the right chairs long enough to push something else. So today, we are going to go through my 3-minute public comment at the Hillsboro City Council meeting, and then I'm going to let you decide for yourself whether this looks like a real residence or a paper address being used to keep political power. And before we get into it, as always, smash that like button, drop a comment, share this everywhere, and follow the channel if you are not already doing so, because the days of hiding behind titles, City Hall, fake outrage, and backroom protection are coming to an end. Sunlight is the best disinfectant in Hillsboro. The sunlight is here.
I want to start by pointing out the obvious difference between Larry Lloyd and Leann Richmond. Larry Lloyd did the honorable thing. When he no longer resided at his residence, he vacated his position. Imagine that. Someone realizing that they no longer meet the residency requirement and completely stepping down instead of turning it into a citywide performance. But Council Member Richmond, you've chosen a very different path. At the last council meeting, it was a nice little production watching people come up here and cheerlead for you and claim that you still live at the old Corsicana property. Really inspiring stuff. I even watched Natasha Sawyer prepare to sign up to speak in your defense, and then she saw me and crumpled up her little speaker slip and threw it in her purse. That was very adorable, and it was very telling. The days of the corrupt club in Hillsboro and Hill County, circling the wagons for each other, are coming to an end. This is a new era. It's called accountability. I know that word may be unfamiliar to some of you in this room, but everyone's going to learn this the hard way. I've already received city records showing that water usage at the Corsicana property is at an all-time low halfway through the month of the hottest month of the year. In my opinion, these records support exactly what I've been trying to say. The Corsicana property appears to be a work location, not your home residence. And now there's another piece of the puzzle. I've obtained the Brandon-Irene Water Supply water bill that's in your husband's name, and that amount shows $120.41 that you still haven't paid for the month of June, which shows that you used almost 3,000 gallons, which is actually more than used at the Corsicana address. So now let me be very clear. I'm not saying that the water bill by itself proves every fact, but when you combine that active water account on Highway 22 property with the extreme low water usage at the other property, the witness statements, the video and photo documentation, the video sightings after work hours on weekends, and parking your vehicle behind the garage and the other structure on the property paints a very clear picture. That picture does not look like residency at your old address. Looks like someone's trying to keep foot on paper here in Hillsboro while actually living somewhere else. So we're going to ask you, Council Member Richmond, the people of Hillsboro deserve council members who actually live here in the city and follow the law and the city charter require them to live here. So this is not a technicality. Residency matters because representation matters. If you no longer live in the place you were elected to represent, then you no longer have the right to sit in that seat and vote on behalf of the citizens who do. So Leann, I told you before, if you do not step down voluntarily, I would move forward. So I'm now preparing a criminal complaint requesting an investigation of possible impersonating a public servant and abuse of official capacity, along with somebody who's covering it up, City Manager Megan Henderson. Since this complaint involves a sitting council member, the proper process should not be the Hillsboro investigate one of its own council members.
10 seconds.
Like nothing is wrong, that would be the Fox investigating missing chickens in the hen house. So anyways, I'll cut this short because it's going to go to the Attorney General, but sunlight is the best disinfectant. And Leann, your days are numbered.
And I
Affirming that she continues to live on Corsicana Street. Staff has reviewed additional information, including water usage, and we can see water usage down to the hour. So if somebody goes to the bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can see that. It's, informative. We've received statements from neighbors, but it's also not appropriate for staff to surveil members of council. If the city council would like to take up this matter, if you guys are concerned that Council Member Richmond's statement needs to be further investigated, that's probably not the place of staff. So if any of you would like to see this on a future agenda, please let me know and we'll put it on a future agenda.
Watchdog.
Tyranny, corruption, extortion.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. BZ Watchdog News Network.